$1 billion just hit Ethereum ETFs, Bitcoin's racing toward 123K, and Monero faces a 51% attack scare, bull run or black swan plunge. Don't let your wallet miss the signal. Welcome to your daily 5-minute crypto brief with Satoshi and Nova. Today is August 13th, 2025. I am Nova.
I am Satoshi.
What's moved and where are the big shifts happening? Bitcoin traded largely flat, maybe up about 0.2%, holding steady around $119,000, still kind of dancing near its all-time high, around $123,000. Here's where it gets really interesting. ETH, it surged over 7% to about $4,600. I mean, that's its highest price in over 3.5 years. We haven't seen that since, December 2021?
Yeah, that's right. And what's fascinating here is that ETH's impressive rally seems clearly fueled by a big shift in sentiment and, a massive wave of institutional inflows. It really suggests that the, let's say, sophisticated investors are increasingly viewing Ethereum as like a fundamental layer for future financial markets.
Absolutely. And that bullish momentum wasn't just for the big two, was it? Other top altcoins saw pretty widespread gains. Solana jumped over 10%.
Big jump for SOL.
Yeah, and Binance Coin rose about 2%. XRP gained maybe 1-2%. Even the more volatile stuff like meme coins, PPE, and BONK saw solid 5-7% gains, and WYV spiked an impressive 9%.
Right, and this broad-based strength, especially in those higher beta plays like the meme coins, which tend to react more strongly to market shifts.
Yeah.
It really indicates growing retail optimism. It suggests retail investors, who are often quicker to jump into riskier assets, are feeling confident enough to maybe re-enter the market, perhaps seeing the current macro environment as a clear buy-the-dip signal.
Okay, so it sounds like crypto's getting a boost from within, but you mentioned the macro environment. How is the bigger economic picture supporting this?
Precisely. Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, global macroeconomic news has provided a mostly supportive backdrop. For instance, the July U.S. Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which measures inflation, it came in moderate. Headline inflation was 2.7% year-on-year, core at 3.1%. This basically reinforced market expectations of an imminent Federal Reserve rate cut, probably in September. Futures traders are now pricing that in at like a 91-92% probability. Pretty high.
Wow, that's quite certain.
It is. And adding to that, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the EIA, they're projecting Brent crude averaging under $60 a barrel in Q4 2025. That would be its lowest level since 2020. So that implies much weaker energy inflation ahead, which, frees up central banks to be more dovish, gives them more room to cut rates without immediate inflation fears. That's a significant tailwind for risk assets, including crypto.
And globally, are we seeing similar moves? Other big economies trying to stimulate growth?
Exactly. Adding to that, globally, we saw China announce new pro-growth policies. Beijing is going to provide interest subsidies for personal consumer loans. It's a 1 percentage point interest rate subsidy, capped at 50% of the interest on loans up to about $50,000, so maybe $7,000 US. That starts September 1st this year and runs through August 2026. These kinds of policies, they improve global risk sentiment, liquidity, and indirectly benefit risk assets like crypto. It's all part of a sort of loosening global financial backdrop.
Right. Makes sense. So with that supportive macro picture setting the stage, let's zoom in on the specific crypto headlines that have really shaped the last 24 hours. First up, a big one. Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon. He pleaded guilty in a New York federal court. 2 felony charges: conspiracy to defraud and wire fraud.
Yeah, this marks a really significant milestone in that whole $40 billion Lunala saga, the Terra collapse. Sentencing is set for December 11th. There's a potential recommendation of no more than 12 years, but only if he cooperates fully. It definitely serves as a powerful cautionary tale for the entire industry.
Definitely. Okay, moving from that cautionary tale to some really bullish news. Ethereum ETFs. Something monumental seems to be happening there. Spot ETFs for Ethereum attracted over $1 billion in net inflows in a single day. That was August 11th. First time ever. Just smashed previous records.
It's huge. BlackRock's Ethereum ETF, ETHA, that one alone saw nearly $640 million. Fidelity's fund, FE, was second. Cumulatively, Ethereum ETFs have now told in over $10.8 billion. This just highlights that surging institutional interest. More and more traditional players seem to be viewing Ethereum as the, quote, backbone of future financial markets.
Incredible numbers. Okay, but on a more concerning note, the privacy coin Monero XMR, it was thrown into a bit of turmoil, right? There was this new project, Quebec, claiming it had gained majority control over 51% of Monero's hash power.
That's right. And this coincided with a 6-block deep chain reorganization on Monero, which basically means the network had to effectively rewrite its recent history to sort of correct or fend off the attack. It caused the price to drop about 6–8%. And this isn't just some technical glitch. It really highlights a fundamental vulnerability in how these decentralized networks protect themselves. It raises some critical questions, I think, about whether even established proof-of-work chains are truly resilient against these 51% attacks, where one entity gets control of over half the network's power.
That does sound pretty serious. Beyond just Monero, what are the sort of broader lessons here about security for proof-of-work coins?
Well, it really underscores that security is an ongoing challenge, even for mature chains like Monero. It definitely raises important questions about decentralized security and these network vulnerabilities. It reminds us that no system is entirely immune, especially against well-resourced attackers.
Okay, so bring it all together. What's the near-term outlook look like now?
So summing it up, the outlook leans, I'd say, cautiously optimistic. We have favorable macro conditions, growing institutional adoption, pushing prices up. However, investors should remain vigilant. A lot of good news seems priced in now, so markets are vulnerable to surprises. Risks. Well, maybe a hawkish turn from the Fed, though unlikely right now. Profit-taking in alts and memes after their run-up. And, of course, persistent regulatory and security risks like we just saw with the Monero incident. So balancing that optimism with caution, diversification, and robust risk management remains absolutely key.
Right. So after this deep dive, we see this fascinating convergence. Bullish macro tailwinds, significant institutional adoption coming in, but it's tempered by those ever-present technical and regulatory risks that are just unique to crypto. Okay, here's a final provocative thought for you to ponder. With these big players increasingly going all in on assets like Ether, how will that tension, the tension between growing institutional influence and the core crypto ethos of decentralized, censorship-resistant networks, how will that play out in crypto's evolution going forward?
You've seen the crypto headlines. Now get the signals that impact your holdings. Money.ai scans 1.3 million signals a day, from token prices to Twitter sentiment, and gives you one personalized briefing. No hype, no noise, just your crypto edge. Download Money.ai. Stay ahead.